9 signs you should cut ties, even with family or friends. In life, we are taught to value our relationships deeply. Family and friends are often the cornerstone of our support system. However, not every connection is meant to last forever. Sometimes holding on to a relationship can do more harm than good. It's not an act of selfishness to let go. It's an act of self-love. When you recognize the signs that a relationship is draining your energy or stifling your growth, it's time to honor your well-being and step away. Let's explore the 9 signs that might mean it's time to release these connections with grace. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. They represent the standards you set for how you wish to be treated and define what is acceptable and unacceptable in your relationships. When someone in your life constantly disrespects these boundaries, it sends a clear message. They are prioritizing their needs, desires, or convenience over your comfort and well-being. This lack of respect can take many forms: interrupting your privacy, belittling your requests, or ignoring your stated limits. It's a pattern that can leave you feeling powerless, unheard, and undervalued. 3. Disrespecting boundaries often starts subtly. Perhaps you set a simple request, such as asking for time alone or explaining that you don't wish to discuss a particular topic. When this request is met with disregard, through insistence, dismissal, or even mockery, it's a red flag. Over time, these small acts of dismissal can escalate, and you may find yourself constantly justifying or explaining why your boundaries matter. You might even begin to doubt whether you deserve to have boundaries at all. This erosion of self-respect can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. What makes boundary violations particularly harmful is the effect they have on your self-esteem. When someone repeatedly disregards your limits, it communicates that your needs are less important than theirs. This imbalance can create a dynamic where you feel compelled to overcompensate, either by pleasing them or by avoiding conflict altogether. The result? A relationship that feels draining, one-sided, and ultimately unhealthy. It's important to recognize that people who consistently disrespect boundaries are often operating from a place of entitlement or control. They may push your limits because they've learned they can, or because they are unwilling to confront their own behaviors. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it does highlight the importance of standing firm. Boundaries are not meant to punish others. They are a form of self-care. They teach others how to treat you, and they reinforce the belief that you are worthy of respect. Honoring your boundaries is an act of love toward yourself. It's not about being rigid or unkind. It's about creating a space where mutual respect can flourish. If someone continues to disregard your boundaries, despite your efforts to communicate them clearly, it's a sign that they may not be willing or able to respect you as an individual. In such cases, stepping away from the relationship may be the healthiest choice. Remember, you are not obligated to endure behavior that diminishes your sense of self. When you stand up for your boundaries, you're not only protecting your well-being, you're also setting the standard for how others should treat you in the future. Boundaries are your birthright, and anyone who truly cares for you will honor them. By releasing those who don't, you make room for relationships that celebrate and respect your worth. You deserve connections that uplift you, not ones that tear you down. Honor your boundaries, and you honor yourself. Have you ever walked away from a conversation or meeting with someone and felt as though your energy had been completely depleted? This sensation isn't just a coincidence or a fleeting moment of fatigue. It's your body and mind sending you a clear message. Feeling drained after every interaction with someone is a significant sign that the relationship may be affecting you negatively. It's not always about what is said or done, but the energy exchange that takes place during those moments together. When you interact with people, there is a natural give and take of energy. Healthy relationships are reciprocal. They leave you feeling heard, understood, and sometimes even uplifted. However, some connections operate differently. In these cases, the interaction feels one-sided, like you're giving all the energy while receiving little to nothing in return. These individuals might dominate the conversation, focus entirely on their own problems, or unintentionally project their negativity onto you. Over time, such patterns can leave you feeling emotionally, mentally, and even physically exhausted. It's important to pay attention to how your body responds during and after these interactions. Do you feel tense, anxious, or emotionally burdened? Do you find yourself needing extra time to recover, perhaps through solitude or relaxation, just to regain your sense of balance? These reactions are not random. They are indicators that your inner peace is being disrupted. It's also possible that you start to dread future interactions with this person, which can be a clear signal that the relationship is no longer serving your well-being. People who drain your energy may not always realize the impact they have. Some may be struggling with their own emotional burdens and inadvertently lean on you too heavily. While compassion is important, it's equally essential to recognize when someone's needs are consistently taking priority over your own. If the pattern persists, you may start to feel resentful or even trapped in the relationship. This imbalance can undermine your confidence and well-being over time. Yes, but acknowledging that a relationship is draining does not mean you lack love or care for the person. It means you're recognizing your limits and choosing to prioritize your own health. Start by setting clear boundaries. Limit the time and energy you spend with those who leave you feeling depleted, and focus on creating interactions that feel more balanced. If the relationship is meaningful to you, consider having an open and honest conversation about how their behavior affects you. Sometimes people are willing to adjust when they understand the impact they're having. However, if the person is unwilling to change or the dynamic continues to leave you feeling empty, it may be time to reassess the relationship altogether. Letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing to protect your peace. When you surround yourself with relationships that energize and uplift you, you create space for joy, growth, and harmony in your life. Trust that prioritizing your well-being is not selfish. It's an act of self-love that you deserve. When someone dismisses your feelings or experiences, it can leave a lasting impact on your sense of self-worth and emotional well-being. This behavior often manifests in subtle ways, through phrases like "you're overreacting," "it's not a big deal," or even "that didn't happen." Over time, these comments can undermine your confidence and make you question your own reality. And sometimes you will question your own reality. Your feelings and experiences are uniquely yours, and they deserve to be acknowledged and respected, not minimized or invalidated. Dismissive behavior often stems from an inability or unwillingness to empathize. Instead of offering understanding, the other person may deflect or diminish your emotions because they are uncomfortable with vulnerability or unwilling to engage deeply. While this might not always be intentional, the result is the same. You feel unheard and unsupported. This can create a dynamic where you hesitate to share your true thoughts and feelings, fearing they'll be met with indifference or criticism. Such an imbalance stifles communication and erodes the trust that relationships are built upon. When your feelings are consistently dismissed, it sends a damaging message that your emotions are unimportant or invalid. This can lead to a cycle where you suppress your feelings, believing they don't matter, or that expressing them will lead to conflict. Over time, this suppression can result in emotional disconnection, not just from the other person, but from yourself. You may start to doubt your perceptions, which can be particularly harmful in relationships where mutual respect and understanding are essential. It's crucial to recognize that everyone has a right to their emotions. Feelings are not something that can be argued or debated. They are an intrinsic part of your inner experience. When someone dismisses them, they fail to acknowledge your humanity and the complexity of your experiences. Healthy relationships are built on validation, where each person feels seen, heard, and valued. If this validation is missing, it's natural for the relationship to feel one-sided or even toxic. Addressing dismissive behavior requires courage and clarity. Begin by expressing how their actions make you feel. Use I statements to communicate your emotions without placing blame, such as, I feel hurt when my feelings are dismissed because it makes me feel like I'm not valued. This approach can encourage a more open and constructive dialogue. If the person is willing to listen and make an effort to change, it may be possible to strengthen the relationship. However, if the dismissive behavior continues, despite your attempts to address it, it may be time to evaluate whether the relationship is worth maintaining. No one deserves to feel belittled or ignored, especially by someone they care about. Letting go of such relationships is not an act of anger or rejection. It's a choice to prioritize your own emotional health. Remember, your feelings and experiences are valid and they matter. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, who make space for your emotions, and who value the unique perspective you bring to the world. You deserve nothing less. Manipulation and control are toxic behaviors that can deeply harm your emotional well-being and sense of self. These actions often creep into relationships subtly, disguising themselves as care, concern, or even love. But over time, the patterns become clear. Someone is steering your decisions, emotions, or actions to serve their own needs, leaving you feeling trapped or powerless. Recognizing this behavior is the first step to reclaiming your freedom and protecting your peace. Manipulative individuals often use tactics that prey on your emotions. They might make you feel guilty for setting boundaries or pursuing your own needs, framing your choices as selfish or uncaring. This guilt becomes a tool they wield to get what they want, keeping you in a cycle of trying to please them at your expense. They may also twist your words or actions, making you question your own perspective. Over time, this can erode your confidence and leave you second-guessing your every decision. Control doesn't always look like overt domination. It can be subtle and insidious. For example, someone might attempt to dictate who you can spend time with, what you can say, or even how you should feel. They may withhold affection, support, or communication as a way to punish you for not complying with their wishes. This kind of behavior isn't rooted in love or respect. It's about maintaining power over you. And the result is often a relationship where you feel as though your voice and choices don't matter. A particularly harmful aspect of manipulation is how it distorts your sense of self. When someone consistently undermines your autonomy or decisions, You may start to believe that you're incapable of making good choices on your own. This dependence is exactly what manipulators want. It gives them greater control. But the truth is, you are fully capable of living a life guided by your own values, desires, and instincts. The problem isn't with you, it's with the person trying to overshadow your independence. Breaking free from manipulation requires courage and self-awareness. Begin by trusting your intuition. If something feels off, if you feel pressured, guilty, or constantly on edge in a relationship, listen to those signals. Reflect on the dynamics of the relationship and consider whether your needs, feelings, and boundaries are being respected. Communication can sometimes help, but in cases of manipulation, it's often met with resistance or further attempts to control. If the manipulative behavior persists, it may be necessary to create distance or even cut ties altogether. This decision isn't easy, especially if the person is someone close to you, like a family member or longtime friend. But protecting your emotional well-being is not selfish. It's an act of self-love. You deserve relationships where you are valued, respected, and free to be yourself. Remember, you are not responsible for fixing someone else's behavior or making them see your worth. Your life is your own, and no one has the right to dictate how you live it. Surround yourself with people who honor your independence, encourage your growth, and support your journey. You are worthy of that freedom and love. The people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on your growth and potential. When someone's presence consistently blocks your progress, whether it's emotional, personal, or professional, it can feel like being tethered to an anchor while trying to swim toward your dreams. Growth requires an environment that nurtures, supports, and challenges you in healthy ways. When a person's presence does the opposite, it may be time to reevaluate their place in your life. Someone who blocks your growth often does so in subtle ways. They might dismiss your aspirations as unrealistic or discourage you from taking risks. Their negativity can plant seeds of doubt, making you question your abilities and worth. Perhaps they fear change, either for themselves or for your relationship, and they project those fears onto you. They may say things like, "Why would you want to do that?" or "You're fine the way you are." In some cases, their behavior may stem from jealousy or insecurity. Your growth might feel threatening to them, especially if it highlights areas in their life where they feel stagnant. Instead of celebrating your progress, they might downplay your achievements or shift the focus back onto themselves. Over time, this creates an unbalanced dynamic where your success feels like something to be hidden or downplayed to maintain harmony in the relationship. Beyond discouragement, some individuals actively resist your efforts to change. They might impose their expectations on you, trying to shape your choices to align with their own vision. For example, they may push you to follow a path that serves their needs rather than honoring your desires. This kind of control is not love or support. It's a barrier to your freedom and growth. Footnote: active resistance is a barrier to your freedom and growth. The most damaging aspect of these relationships is how they can hinder your belief in yourself. When someone close to you consistently blocks your progress, you may start internalizing their doubts. You might tell yourself that your dreams are too big, your skills are insufficient, or your efforts are futile. This internalized negativity can create self-imposed limitations, making it even harder to break free and pursue your potential. That's why every single person needs to say, recognizing when someone's presence is hindering your growth is an act of self-awareness. Ask yourself, Do I feel supported and encouraged in this relationship, or do I feel held back? Am I growing, or am I shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone? Honest answers to these questions can reveal the impact of their presence on your life. But if you want to address them consciously, it requires empathy and room. If you find that a relationship consistently blocks your growth, it's okay to create distance. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care for the person. It means you care enough about yourself to prioritize your progress. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your achievements, encourage your dreams, and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. Growth is your birthright, and no one has the right to stand in its way. You are capable of incredible things, and you deserve relationships that fuel your journey, not hinder it. Relationships thrive on reciprocity, a natural give and take that fosters connection, respect, and mutual support. When someone uses you without giving back, it creates an imbalance that can leave you feeling depleted, unappreciated, and undervalued. While it's natural to give in relationships, whether it be for money, for time, energy, resources, or emotional support, it's just as important to receive. Relationships, a one-sided dynamic where you are consistently pouring into someone who offers little to no return, is unsustainable and harmful to your well-being. Being used often starts subtly. It might look like someone constantly seeking your help, advice, or resources, while rarely, if ever, offering support in return. They may call only when they need something, make promises they don't keep, or take advantage of your generosity without acknowledging it. Over time, this pattern becomes clear. They are benefiting from your efforts while making little effort to contribute to the relationship. This can leave you feeling like your value is tied solely to what you can provide, rather than who you are. And so, one of the most damaging aspects of being used is the emotional toll it takes. You may find yourself feeling resentful or taken for granted, yet unsure how to address it. Perhaps you fear confrontation, worry about being perceived as selfish, or hope the other person will change on their own. Unfortunately, those who habitually take without giving often fail to see their behavior as a problem, especially if it has gone unchecked for a long time. This can create a cycle where you continue to give in hopes of maintaining the relationship, even as it drains you further. It's also important to recognize that being used is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of the other person's lack of respect or awareness. People who use others often prioritize their own needs above all else, either out of entitlement or self-centeredness. They may assume that you'll always be there to accommodate them without considering the impact on you. This behavior is not love, care, or friendship. It's exploitation, whether intentional or not. Addressing this dynamic starts with setting boundaries. Reflect on what you're willing to give and what you need in return to feel valued and balanced in the relationship. Communicate these boundaries clearly and assertively, letting the person know what behaviors are no longer acceptable. For example, you might say, "I'm happy to help when I can, but I also need support from you when I'm going through challenges." Setting these limits isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. If the person is unwilling to change or dismisses your concerns, it may be time to reconsider their place in your life. Letting go of relationships that only take from you allows you to make space for connections that are mutually supportive and fulfilling. You deserve relationships where you are appreciated for who you are, not just for what you can provide. Remember, giving is a beautiful act, but it should never come at the expense of your own well-being. Seek relationships that honor and uplift you, and you'll find the balance and respect you deserve. Toxic energy has a way of seeping into your life and disrupting your sense of peace, balance, and well-being. When someone brings toxic energy into your world, it can feel like a heavy cloud hanging over you, a constant drain on your emotional reserves. This kind of energy manifests in various ways: negativity, criticism, hostility, manipulation, or an overall lack of respect for your boundaries. Over time, exposure to such energy can leave you feeling anxious, stressed, or even disconnected from your authentic self. One of the most telling signs of toxic energy is how it impacts your mood and mindset. After spending time with someone who brings negativity, you may find yourself feeling irritable, drained, or unsettled. They might constantly complain, focus on the worst aspects of life, or project their own insecurities and frustrations onto you. Their energy can shift the atmosphere of a room, turning what could be a peaceful or joyful moment into one filled with tension and unease. Even if their words seem harmless on the surface, their tone or attitude often carries an undercurrent of toxicity. We experience trauma in different ways, and many people experience trauma with their words alone. Toxic energy can also manifest in behaviors that undermine your sense of self. People who bring this energy into your life may criticize you harshly, dismiss your achievements, or belittle your dreams. They might use sarcasm or passive-aggressive comments to mask their hostility, leaving you questioning their true intentions. Over time, these actions can erode your confidence and self-esteem, making you feel small or unworthy. This kind of influence can be particularly damaging when it comes from someone you care about deeply, such as a family member or close friend. Another hallmark of toxic energy is how it disrupts your ability to grow and thrive. People with toxic energy often resist change and may try to hold you back from pursuing your goals or stepping into your potential. They might discourage you, feed your doubts, or create unnecessary drama that distracts you from your focus. In doing so, they pull you into their chaotic energy, making it harder for you to maintain clarity and motivation in your own life. Protecting yourself from toxic energy starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with certain people. Do you feel uplifted and supported, or do you feel heavy and drained? Trust these feelings, as they often reveal the truth about the energy someone brings into your life. Setting boundaries is essential when dealing with individuals who carry toxic energy. Limit your time and exposure to their negativity. And don't be afraid to say no when their behavior crosses your limits. If the toxicity persists despite your efforts to create boundaries, it may be necessary to distance yourself from the person altogether. Letting go of relationships that harm your well-being isn't easy, but it's an act of self-love. You deserve to surround yourself with people who contribute positively to your life, who inspire and encourage you to be your best self. By releasing toxic energy, you make room for peace, joy, and authentic connections that align with your highest good. Feeling unloved or unappreciated is one of the most painful emotional experiences. It creates a sense of disconnection, leaving you wondering if your presence and efforts matter. When someone consistently makes you feel like you don't matter, it can erode your self-worth and leave you questioning your value. This feeling can manifest in many ways through neglect, lack of affection, or dismissive behavior. But the core issue is the same. You are not receiving the love, respect, or recognition you deserve. A person who makes you feel unloved or unappreciated may fail to acknowledge your needs or contributions. They might take your efforts for granted, never showing gratitude for the time, energy, or care you invest in the relationship. This can leave you feeling invisible, as though your worth is only tied to what you can do for them, rather than who you are as a person. Over time, this lack of recognition can build up, creating a deep sense of emotional emptiness and loneliness. Being in a relationship where you feel unloved can also impact your sense of security. Love and appreciation are the foundation of trust and connection, and when they are missing, the relationship feels fragile. You may find yourself constantly seeking validation or reassurance, only to be met with indifference or neglect. This emotional abandonment can create a cycle of longing for affection that never seems to be fulfilled, which only deepens the hurt. Sometimes the lack of love or appreciation is more subtle, taking the form of emotional neglect or inconsistency. The person may show affection only when it suits them or when they need something from you. They may express love through actions that feel more like obligation than genuine care. In these situations, you might begin to question whether their feelings are real or if they're simply going through the motions, leaving you uncertain about where you stand in the relationship. It's important to recognize that feeling unloved is not a reflection of your worth. You are inherently deserving of love and respect, and no one has the right to make you feel otherwise. When someone consistently fails to acknowledge your needs, it speaks more about their inability to offer the care and attention you deserve than it does about you. It is essential to protect your emotional health by acknowledging when a relationship is no longer serving you or nourishing your spirit. Or you're getting up to the idea that if you just do the right thing, you can manifest some magical thing. Addressing this feeling starts with self-love. Recognize that you do not need external validation to feel complete or worthy. Start by cultivating love within yourself and honoring your own worth. By doing so, you become less dependent on others to fill that emotional void. In relationships, communicate your needs clearly. Express how you feel when you are not shown affection or appreciation, and allow the other person the opportunity to listen and change. If your efforts to communicate go unacknowledged, or if the relationship continues to make you feel unloved, it may be time to reassess its value in your life. You deserve to be surrounded by people who make you feel seen, heard, and valued. Letting go of relationships that leave you feeling unimportant allows you to make space for healthier, more fulfilling connections that nurture your heart and soul. Intuition is a powerful force that often guides us in the right direction, even when our logical minds might struggle to understand. It's that inner knowing, a quiet yet persistent voice that whispers when something isn't right. When it comes to relationships, intuition has a unique ability to alert us to the truth, even if we don't want to face it. If you find that your intuition is telling you it's time to let go of a person or relationship, it's important to listen. Ignoring these feelings can lead to continued emotional turmoil, preventing you from living authentically and thriving. One of the most compelling signs that it's time to let go is a sense of discomfort or unease that lingers despite your best efforts. Even when everything seems fine on the surface, you might feel a nagging feeling that something is wrong. This can manifest as a sense of dread before interacting with a person, a constant questioning of their motives, or simply a feeling that you are not aligned anymore. Your intuition might also alert you to patterns of behavior that don't align with your values, such as dishonesty, disrespect, or emotional neglect. Over time, these feelings grow stronger and your intuition becomes more insistent, urging you to trust your gut and take action. Another sign that it's time to let go is when your emotional and mental well-being begins to deteriorate. Relationships are meant to lift us up and provide support, but when someone is not healthy for us, we often feel drained, anxious, or even depressed in their presence. If you find yourself constantly on edge, second-guessing your worth, or feeling worse about yourself after spending time with this person, your intuition is telling you that the relationship is no longer serving your highest good. This is especially true if your sense of self is being eroded by the dynamics of the relationship. In some cases, intuition can manifest as a deep feeling of detachment or indifference. You may realize that you no longer care about the person or the relationship in the same way. The love, connection, or friendship that once existed may have faded, leaving behind a hollow space that no longer resonates with your current life or needs. This is often accompanied by a sense of relief or freedom when you consider letting go, signaling that your soul is ready to move on. Listening to your intuition also means recognizing when the relationship is holding you back. If you feel stuck, stagnant, or as though you are repeating the same cycles without growth, your intuition might be signaling that it's time to break free. Holding on to someone out of fear, guilt, or obligation can keep you from evolving into the person you are meant to become. The truth is, sometimes we have to let go of relationships that no longer align with our path in order to make room for new opportunities and experiences that will help us grow. Letting go is not always easy, but it is necessary for your emotional and spiritual well-being. Trust your intuition when it whispers that it's time to release someone from your life. By doing so, you allow yourself the space to heal, grow, and attract the relationships that honor and support who you are today. Your intuition knows what is best for you, and following its guidance can lead you to a life filled with peace, clarity, and fulfillment.